Alright guys, what's up? Welcome back to episode number 6 of the Kendall podcast. Been a little absent here lately on this, and figured I would get back into it. I like where my YouTube channels are going. I like to put out content, so this is one way for me to put out content, both video and audio. And I was driving and collected a few topics I wanted to talk about. One, they're on my phone. I put them in my notes because if I don't do that, I'm not going to remember. Number one is the SSC Tuatara crash. I'll explain what that is and why we're talking about a car crash. It was inside a carrier when it crashed, and there's some points I want to make about that. I want to go over what happened during Blitz Week. I want to talk about a comment that was put on my one of my videos. It wasn't necessarily negative, but I kind of want to elaborate that on that for some people, and just kind of give my opinions on. You'll get it. I'll read the comment and I'll say my opinion on why I'm moving in the direction I am. And the last is some funny comments from super truckers that I read on a Hurricane Express post. So I'm going to show you guys the first topic, which is the SSC Tuatara crash. So the SSC Tuatara is a $1.9 million production supercar, hypercar, 1,750 horsepower. At one point, it was said to go 330 miles an hour. That was debunked that it didn't actually go that fast, but it is the record holder, I think, at 282 miles an hour. So that's a top speed record for a production car. And was recently on, I want to say in April. Somewhere around the end of April, was involved in a crash inside of a car carrier. All this information is coming from The Drive, which I will put their link in the description for this article. The title reads, "Top Speed Record Holding SSC Tuatara Wrecked in a Car Carrier Crash. Vehicle was on its way to Florida in April for another record attempt when high winds in Utah caused the carrier to flip." So I'm going to flip over here to my computer so you guys can see some of these pictures, and there's also some videos on here I want to show you, and kind of go over why I'm talking about this. It'll make sense, don't worry. Side note, if this does look a little different, it's because I'm coming live from Kennesaw, Georgia in the La Quinta. Alright, so you can see here the top speed record holding SSC Tuatara is how you pronounce it, wrecked in car carrier crash. So here's a picture of the SSC Tuatara coming off of the rollback that they used to pull it out of the wrecked carrier. It is the fastest production car. This is actually production car 001, and as far as I know, this is the only car in existence that they have completed. So this is a big deal for this company. They're like an independent company that is making production hypercars. I don't know how many they were planning to make, but the Tuatara was in transit on Interstate 15 just north of Salt Lake City when high winds caused the enclosed carrier to flip over. Just from the photos, you can see the $1.9 million car was left in rough shape. There's another video. That's the rollback. So, actually, let me show you. It was in a stacker trailer, okay? From the way the article reads on this, the Tuatara was the only vehicle in this stacker, but it was on the top lift. The only thing underneath of it was a motorcycle. So if maybe the car was on the bottom of this, this enclosed hauler, maybe would have saved the car, maybe would have saved it from rolling over. I don't know how much a Tuatara weighs. I don't think it could probably be over 2,500 pounds, but putting 2,500 extra pounds up that high in the air, your guess is as good as mine. Here is So the lift, the way the truck rolled over, the lift was stuck, and because it was bent, they couldn't actually get the lift all the way down. So they had to use a rollback to pull it out. There it is. The only other vehicle on board at the time was a motorcycle parked on the lower deck of the transporter that the Tuatara was strapped on the top deck. Alright, there's here, let's see if this will play. Here's video from the drive of them actually pulling it out of the wreckage. You can see up top here they have a rotator holding it up straight enough to get it out. I'm assuming because the carrier is aluminum, it's probably just going to fall over. They wanted to straighten it up enough. I don't know how long this video is, but we're going to pause that. So the reason I'm talking about this, and I want to make a couple points, is, as you can see, the carrier it was in looks like a private carrier, probably owned by somebody within the SSC Tuatara group, maybe an owner or somebody within that group. Obviously, it is a private rig. Looks like a toter home with a probably just 2-car, one on top, one on bottom. But the point I'm trying to make is, and this isn't to come off as I'm hating or, you know, as I'm jealous, because that's not what it is. But see a lot of these guys running around, especially like the company I just had issues with being J&J Transport or whatever their name is. I forget at this point. Let me move my chair. You see companies like that. So that company doesn't have, we're talking about J&J. They don't have insurance, they don't have DOT number, they don't have operating authority. But they're hauling around cars, and they brag on their website they're hauling around cars that are a $1.3 million supercar. So as the owner of that $1.3 million supercar, would you want to put your car in the hands of somebody that has zero insurance? And the reason I'm talking about this article is, I don't care how good of a driver you are. I don't care how good your rig is. I don't care how flashy or how good you are. Things happen. You can't control the people around you, and obviously in a situation like this, you can't control the weather. You're driving down the road, gust of wind flips you over, you got a $1.3 million supercar, or in this case $1.9 million supercar in the trailer, blows you over, car's totaled. How's a customer getting their money back for their car that's totaled now? So you got to be careful. Even if you're a transporter and you get the opportunity to haul a car that is outside of what cargo coverage you have, you better be calling your insurance company and upping it. It's cheaper to go ahead and pay the premium for upping your insurance than it is to have to go to court, be sued, whatever it may be, for the loss of that vehicle if you don't have proper insurance. Now, when it comes down to insurance company, it's pretty much up to them. If you do have insurance coverage, discretion of, what happened, high winds, who knows if you're going to have an insurance company after that, but things happen. Better to be safe than sorry and be covered, and just make sure if you are shipping your car, make sure you're getting the credentials of the carrier. And I get asked for my credentials all the time, my insurance, my copy of my operating authority. Like I'm hauling a G-Wagon tomorrow, 2020, $130,000 vehicle. They wanted to make sure I had enough insurance to cover their vehicle in the trailer, which I do, and that's just what you got to do to check your bases. So that's why we're talking about this story. I found it interesting because when I heard about this story, I was listening to a Life of Paulos episode, and he references Life of Paulos does like supercar coverage, and I'm really into cars. I've been a car guy my whole life, so stuff like that interests me. I heard about this crash, and the first thing I did when I stopped for lunch was I'm on my phone trying to figure out what carrier it was or who it was, because all it said it was in an enclosed carrier. Wanted to see if I knew the person or what exactly happened. So that's why we're talking about it. We're going to move on to the next story. All right, moving on. Topic number 2 is Blitz Week. Blitz Week this week, or this previous week, was the 4th through the 6th, which is a 72-hour blitz. My experience with it it started on Tuesday, ended on Thursday. I was coming back on Tuesday from Ocala, Florida. Made my way up 95 into... Where did I stop? I stopped somewhere in North Carolina on Monday night. So Tuesday I woke up in North Carolina, made my way up through North Carolina, Virginia. I'm trying to think of which way I came home. Yeah. North Carolina, Virginia, Maryland, then Pennsylvania is the way I came home. And honestly didn't have any problems. I did see a lot more police force out than normal. Sitting in the median and sitting at like entrances or exits of way stations, just waiting for people to run the scale. I didn't get any bypasses, so I used Driveways, which is like Pre-Pass, is an app you have on your phone, and so I got the US bypass. I don't know if it'll focus. But as you're driving and you're coming up to a way station, it'll tell you like pull in unless closed or go ahead and bypass the station. I didn't get any bypasses, but when I did get into the way station, I was sent in the bypass lane and on my merry way. Now I was pulling the enclosed trailer, the 48-foot enclosed trailer with just two regular cars on it, so it's not like I was overweight by any means or looked suspicious or anything. It's just an enclosed trailer, so didn't really get bothered with that, but went ahead and followed the instructions, went through the way station and didn't get bothered. I did see some posts on Instagram and on Facebook of people getting pulled over, but from what I gathered, they were checking lights and logs is what I heard. Don't quote me on that, but so if you had all your paperwork in order when you did get pulled over, the cop questioned you. If you had everything in order, pretty much just sent you on your merry way. What they do, when you get pulled over, especially if you get pulled over like roadside, as they're walking up to your truck to get your information, they're already looking at stuff. From the condition of your equipment from the back to the front, they're pretty much gonna know if they're gonna find something or not. And that's why I've always been taught to keep my equipment, tip-top shape, always clean, always presentable, and, you won't get bothered as much. Alrighty, so, drink here. So let's move to, actually, before we get any further, these hats, the Hotshot haulers hats, back in stock, $25, shipped. Let me know if you're interested. I think I got probably like 25 left. Anyways, okay, so this was a comment left on my, is this my personal page? Yes, it was left on my personal page. And I'm not mad at the comment at all. I just want to elaborate on it. So, Dave says, I don't get why everyone wants to get bigger. You have what you got, everything from the truck, trailer, down to the shop. Parking at your place, just everything. Why would you have to flip everything around on another truck, another trailer driver, maybe, unless you're thinking over the road. So, for me, yes, I am, extremely blessed and extremely thankful for everything I have right now. I've got multiple trailers, I've got multiple trucks right now. Some may have issues, but I own multiple trucks. I have a full-service shop at my house. I've got a lift. I've got 2 acres, plenty of parking. I can park all my stuff at my house. I get up in the morning. I walk out the door. I, walk to the parking lot beside me if I park up there, or I walk into my yard. I get my truck and I leave. So yes, I am extremely thankful and extremely blessed for everything I have. But for me, Kendall Enterprises and what I do right now is not just a job to pay the bills. This is a long-term, I'm going to be in this business till the day I die. I want this business to grow the way I think it should grow, slowly but surely, and I want to, be able to establish something for my family, for my kids down the line, that they can walk into a business and, kind of be given everything that not that I wish I had as a kid, but, I have friends that, their parents own businesses, and I was like, wow, why do they show no interest in this? They have everything handed to them. But in the long run, not having anything handed to me, was taught me how to work hard. My parents taught me how to work hard. My dad is still, my biggest fan. He follows everything I do, helps me when I can, and I'm extremely thankful for that. But I want to be able to set financially. I want to, set the rest of my family up. Like I said, my kids' kids. Up for the rest of their life. I want this business to be around for, I want to be that business that says this is the 100-year anniversary. That's just me. So growing, it's going to have to happen. That house I'm at right now with all the parking and the shop, that's going to go away. We're actively, well, I say actively, but not the way that, with the housing market right now. We plan on moving out of that house into something bigger. Hopefully bigger shop. If the house doesn't have one, I'm going to build one. More parking, more adequate parking where I can just line trucks and trailers up and, be on their way. So, yes, Dave, that was a great comment, but I like progression. I consider myself still young. I can work hard, and there is kids out there. I say kids because they're younger than me that are, more successful than I am, and I don't hate. I appreciate and want to learn how they grew so fast. But there's also, guys older than me that aren't as far along as I am, and I just want to keep it going. Every day is a hustle to me, and if I'm not making forward progression, I don't feel motivated, and I'm not intrigued to go out and get the money. All right, so we're gonna end this portion, or this whole podcast on a funny note. I like to read these comments. This one came across my feed. I follow Hurricane Express on Facebook. Say what you want. They are a big fleet. They do have some choice of trucks and color schemes and lighting, but it comes down to it, they are a big fleet, and their trucks are presentable and better than most larger fleets. I think they got like 175 trucks. But what I was really curious about was this post right here, that this truck is a 579 Ultra Loft, is getting 8 miles to the gallon. So they posted this picture here of the driver log. Overall fuel economy 8 miles to the gallon. Obviously, it doesn't look like they all have APUs, so they're not idling the truck. So 8.01 miles to the gallon over 17,000 miles, which is pretty impressive. And in that 17,000 miles, 91% of the time was spent in the top gear, which is all highway speed. So saw that, I was like, wow, 8 miles per gallon in a big truck like that, that's pretty impressive. And that's with 46,000 pounds in the box, which is, no slouch, not pulling, small weight. So I go in here and I look at the pictures. So this has one of those camouflage wraps on it, so competitors can't get accurate measurements of the vehicle. So this is when I started reading the comments. I needed a laugh. So let's see here. Where was it? Here we go. Hideous to look at. Camo isn't supposed to be a repetitive design. It's not a camo pattern. It's a pattern that doesn't allow you to take pictures and get measurements from it because it was a demo truck, which I just said. It is digital snow camo wrap. I can buy that same material. Call you what you want for whatever reason you want. But even if Peterbilt used it to mask its dimensions, they really help the photographers because it's repeatable. So anyways, I found that funny. Cliff says it's ugly. Thanks for your input, Cliff. Here we go. Elvis Johnson says this truck is ugly as pudding in church. Couldn't pay me to drive it. Mike says that is the ugliest truck I have ever seen. Bet the DOT has a heyday R-wording the driver. So I found that funny. And, I get that in the comments of my videos that everybody's a super trucker. And it is what it is. I don't really care. Doesn't really bother me. I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. But that being said, guys, thanks for joining us for this episode. Try to keep these, if it's just me, around 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what I have to talk about. And I will be posting an audio version of these, which when I show visuals is not going to help. But if you're there just to listen to the stories, that is what it is. And I'm going to post the audio and video version on my personal page, on the Jason Kendall page. So that being said, guys, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.